Welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. Okay. I was extending.
Gotta tune that a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm very out of it. I'm very out of it for very good reason. But hey, everybody, how are we doing tonight? Welcome to the ToV podcast, recording live with, well, some of our usual panel tonight. We have Joe Crazy, we have Jason Rutherford, we have Jeremy, the Illustrated College, and we have, well, semi-new, it was with us last Friday, we have Nobleman Nick. How you doing tonight, sir? And we have guest on our panel, but kind of like a regular guest. I called him like earlier a sage type guest because he's kind of in the know with things. So it's always good to have him on board. Ben, aka Dadscaper, or yeah, did I say that right? Dadscaper. Yep. Glad to have you on board with us tonight, sir. And Shurig saying Fatherscaper. Hey, everybody in the chat. Shurig, Justin, Hexala. Happy Father's Day. Yes, it is Father's Day. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, gone most of the day for me.
I think in that spirit,
yeah, go ahead, sir.
Spirit, we should definitely honor a Heroscape father, right? And that Heroscape father is apparently Taylord. Taylord is a dad, so we should take some time. Happy Father's Day, Taylord. Your daughter's terrifying.
I'll drink to that. Once I have a drink.
Happy Father's Day, Taylord. Yeah.
It's very true. Very true.
That was fun lore to find out. I was like, he had a kid. Oh man, like I guess you could be as scary as him and still have a chance. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, we got Dan Antonio there in the chat as well. Welcome. And so tonight we have a little lineup for this first half hour. We have some things to go through. We're going to be going through some comments from the last podcast. We're going to be doing a spin the wheel for the contest for the Negok Sauce short. And then we have just one YouTuber shout out that we're going to give. And then we're going to get talking about the Wave 2 from Renegade announced last Friday. Since we have some time to digest it this weekend, we can give some of our thoughts. We got Dadscaper here to give us his thoughts on some things. So how about we first get into some comments, like how Joe Crazy writes this. Audience speaks back. So here, hold on. Okay, I got to do this thing so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Yeah, okay, I got to share the screen, and I gotta go here. And wait a minute, Hexile is saying Cyprian is a father too, right?
True. Very true. He's got his whole family. He brought. He's got his wife, his daughter, and his brother are all in Valhalla right now. So.
I mean, at least the family's together.
I mean, he did curse his brother before showing up, so I don't know. I don't know if they're technically on.
I'm sure there's some kind of rivalry.
Sure, saying at least he's a husband. All right. All right. So let's view some of the comments. Had a lot of comments from the last podcast. We're just going to go through a few. First, we got Garanek saying, "I'm not actually on the COV podcast. I thought I've seen Paul on one, at least one. I thought I've heard him speak about one."
Yeah, him and Kim are on one.
Yeah, though I do know I can approximately every other week about recording more episodes. Hey, tell him to get onto it, That's what I'm saying. Garanex, I don't know who you are, Garanex, but thank you, Paul. Thank you for the comment. All right, and then we have John Jello saying, Utkar has some really fun D20 bearing heroes. Cyprian, Isimu, Mibruk, Sa, Runa, Hive Movement heroes, and squads were always my favorite to play, though nowadays my casual maps will be smaller. LL Skeleton Cavalry would be absolute best. Yes. This hopefully happens someday. Just something to help buff Cyprian up would be so fun. No bones about it, and no puns about it either. I think another great episode, guys. Thanks for the great listen. Thank you so much, Joan and Jello, for that. Yeah, no, we had a great time with Mike last time. A little bit talking about Cyprian as the miniature, as the stat card, and how to play him, or how to not play him, because he's not a one size fits all when it comes to like tournament type play. He's you definitely got to think about how to use them if you're going to use them. So, but still a fun lore miniature. Okay, so thank you so much, John Gel, for that comment. And then we have Heroscape saying, appreciate the kind words, G Busy. Cool to have Mike on the show this week to discuss units. Next time you have him on, you'll have to discuss Death Chasers, best melee bonding squad ever. Yes, we had a kind of a vote because it was between Deadeye Dan or Death Chasers, which was next on the alphabetical list. I'm just like, we could sacrifice Deadeye Dan if people want to talk Death Chasers, but it was like nearly 100% unanimous. No, let's do Deadeye Dan, and so that's what we did. But yeah, next time we do Squads and Heroes, we will start with Death Chasers, and yes, they are a fun squad. So looking forward to doing that sometime in the future. So thank you, Sharig. Thank you, Jack, for that comment. And then last comment we have is from, I don't know who this person is either, Nick Snyder 6370 says, or AKA Nobleman Nick, he's right there. I think it'd be fun to be a guest in one of your videos for a bunch of little short videos like this. One, because it would be fun, and two, because I catch you guys forgetting stuff sometimes. Well, and I actually take full responsibility for this, Nick, because I spent like the last 10 plus years stop motion animating these Heroscape miniatures, not exactly playing them. So when it comes to knowledge about playing it, I am very much novice. I am very much new. I know nothing. So a lot of what I say, people got to take with a grain of salt, but I have fun with it anyway. How would you respond, Nick, to that?
Oh yeah, I mean everybody plays their own way. You know, when I started playing too, I was like making Negok, so I have like a rivalry with Sergeant Drake and everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, everybody has their own thing. I'm just more on the tournament side, so when I watch stuff and I don't hear a couple things I'm thinking of, I'm like, oh, you didn't.
You need to say that thing.
So, yeah.
I mean, forgetting things, I think, is better than making things up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like me as the lore guy having to clean the Wikipedia all the time, there's a bunch of nonsense written in it, and it's like, yeah, that's canon. I'm like, that was never canon. What are you talking about? Like,
right.
It's better to forget than make something up, because then that's confusing. I'm like, oh goodness.
I heard a speaker say one time, the less I talk, the better this will be, and he was the
main guy. Just contain it to what you know, and it looks great.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know anything about competitive. I've never like the only competitive scene I've been at is ScapeCon.
Yep.
So I'm always going to defer to my betters, especially when they start saying stuff. I'm like signing out. I'm listening at this point because I know I don't know anything about this subject. But the only thing is, like, maybe as the launch tournament starts and gets going, and then I start running that, I could explain a little bit more. But that's about it. I will never ever be like, yeah, I know. Yeah, the rules and the stats and like I'm a lore guy, unfortunately. That's where my brain's at. So
yeah, and
I've learned
yeah
pretty basic powers that I didn't know about before. So yeah,
I think everyone finds a special spot in the game for themselves. So
yeah, well, I think the fun part and the main part of like developing like this list of squads and heroes, being able to use for tournaments or casual or whatever, is to show anybody who is just coming onto the game just different perspectives, whether it be novice or expert, on what these miniatures are, what's the story behind them, if there's story behind them, and whether or not for consideration for their own Heroscape army. And it's a chore because there's a lot of stuff to go through, but at the same time it's a fun chore. It's just to get that stuff eventually all out to eventually there's going to be a library for that. And I think primarily also it helps myself and the rest of us learn more about it, so that way we can become better players in the future as well. So that's the thoughts on that. So thank you so much, Nick, for that comment and the other comment. Unfortunately, I can't do all the comments that you have, but please keep on commenting, and everybody else keep on commenting, because that is really the only way we're able to learn. So thank everybody for the comments. And here, I'm going to stop sharing this. I don't want to share anymore. And then, okay, let's get to... Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, and then we're going to get to... I got to look at the list. Hold on a second. My phone died on me. All right, so we're... Oh, okay. That's what's happening next. All right, so let me bring this wheel up. Here is... Oh, let me look at comments here. Okay, Dan Antonio saying, honored for the shout-out. Absolutely. Wait, is that... Oh, yes, for sure. I try to shout out as many people as I can. Justin says, I want more cavalry in general. Yes, cavalry is just bring on the cavalry. Hexile says, a lot of us who yap actually know nothing. Exactly. This is why we become content creators. At least we look good, or some of us do maybe. Lucas says, are there any Wave 2 figures that Renegade created the original stats and abilities on the cards that weren't already made prior to during out? That's a question we're going to get into in a little bit. Remind me to get back to that, Lucas, and we'll cover that in a little bit. Okay, we'll catch up on these comments in a second. Let's go to contest. Let's get this out of the way. Hi-ho, Silver, away. All right,
Are we going to come back to the cavalry question?
We can. Yes, we can. Absolutely. We'll cover that. Let me just spin the wheel because I know I want to do this contest because, okay, while I get this up, okay, share the screen again. This is a contest for the Nigok Saw short that I released a few weeks ago. And a fairly simple contest. Just, let's see here, where is the... There it is. It's for a squad of stingers, of Maro stingers. And so, and what you need to do was comment on the Nigok short itself. And so, I also actually did a couple of Facebook comments too, for those who've commented on Facebook as well. And so, here is our list of names. Let us spin and see who gets those stingers.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congrats to Eric.
Congrats to Eric. So we'll be contacting you shortly and trying to find a way to get that prize to you as soon as possible. So thank you very much. Yeah. And here, while I'm shutting this one down, well, actually, I don't think I need to. I'm gonna minimize this because we're gonna get to this in a second. Wait, let me see. Wait, what's next? Yeah, okay. We're gonna be looking at something else in a second. Also have two other contests going on as well through ToV. If you check out the stream that we did last Friday, and that should be in the live tab section of the Tales of Hell YouTube page. If you comment on this stream, there is a prize giveaway for a Heroscape map like the one that's back there, right there behind my head. And included with the map as well 2 squads of zombies that are 3D printed and painted by Heroscaper, 1 squad, and myself. So 2 squads. So leave a comment on that stream video if you would like to enter that. And then there is another contest as well on the ToV Patreon. If you want to check out the ToV Patreon, there's a link in the description below for that, and check out that contest. The first tier of that contest is an Agent Skahan, painted by Sir Heroscaper himself as well. All right, now let's get into real quick YouTuber shout out. So here, okay, I'm gonna share this. Hold on. Okay, how do I? Okay, there we go. All right. So Heroscape Fan Forever. Just wanted to give Heroscape Fan Forever, who is actually John and Jello in the comments section. Okay.
Neat.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah. And has a few videos. Very artistic. Has some like drawings in here that he's done, and has a very if you don't watch anything from this, watch the unbox from Heroscaper. He was able to unbox some things that. Oops, what was that? I heard my voice for a second. I don't know where that came from. But it has a special story about him and a friend getting involved in Heroscape back in 2004. And so I suggest check him out. And he only has like 7 subscribers. Give him some subscribe love, please. Give him some sub love, and let that subscribership get up even more for him. I appreciate it. So technically, kind of just getting started. Yeah, like 2 months ago, he had his first video. So give him some encouragement and give him some sub love. Appreciate it. Thank you. Now. Let's see, what time is it? 9:52. All right. So, and let's see here, Nick. You still have a few minutes, right, with us? So you can start with the conversation with us a little bit. Okay, let us get into what we need, or what we need to be talking about, which is the Heroscape release of character bios. Here, I'm gonna bring this. Okay, I'm gonna bring this back up so we all can see this. I'm gonna share this tab. Here we are. Here they are.
Nice.
All right. So what was announced last weekend, and let's get into some of the comments that I've seen on YouTube as well. So if we want to discuss Dadscaper, if we want to discuss first, what was it? Calvary. Go ahead. Let's do it.
Oh, what are they called? The Wraith Riders?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They came out of the desire to have some cavalry. They don't they aren't mounted and there aren't vehicles. The challenge with that faction was you can't have, at least at the time I was working on this with Craig, he felt like you can't have vehicles in Valhalla because they can't be summoned there. They don't have the defining this is Jeremy's department and not mine, but they don't have the souls that can be pulled. So the way that this mechanized force could have cavalry is by having it integrated. So you're looking at it here as one form of cavalry.
Okay. So are you saying that there might be possibly, maybe, sometime down the line more cavalry?
I don't know. The NDA always provided that I can't talk about things that haven't been released.
For sure.
So
horses have horses have souls.
Cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah,
let's get that on a shirt.
That would be behind the wall. But I did. It was funny to hear that question about cavalry come out like this when we're talking about Wave 2, because I do remember this conversation about well, how do these guys have cavalry? And the answer was this: they are integrated with their vehicles.
Yeah, and they're a really cool type of sculpt, really are. And the fact that I don't remember, did they in comparison, did we get stat cards from these from Avalon Hill when the campaign failed?
Necrotech,
yes.
we did.
Yeah. Did they have a 2 life?
All of the ice.
Did they have a 2 life?
Yes, they did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
They did.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Is it similar stats? Did anything change from these?
Me?
For Wraith Riders?
Me?
Say what?
Oh, no. I thought you were asking me. But
I was asking anybody who would know.
The stats are basically the same.
Okay.
I didn't read the hours word for word, but they look to be very similar anyway.
I mean, I do have the Age of Annihilation index on Heroscapers, if needed. Let me see. I'll just get
Yeah, the only difference, I think Jason pointed out that it's 10 points cheaper.
It's 10 points cheaper?
I guess that got correct, or I guess that change came a few weeks after the Avalon Hill campaign, so technically it's still Avalon Hill era, just the actual card that Avalon Hill gave us is listed as 100 points.
Oh, yeah, True, yeah, see right there.
Yeah,
okay,
I think they mentioned, the point adjustments was the last thing they were able to do. That one's on the forums, though. You have to go on the forums to get the point adjustment. But for the most part, I think it's all kind of the same. Like, they matched it up. It's just now it's on the card now, just not on the compendium cards we have.
Okay. Nice, very nice. All right. And then let's go to Lucas's comment here. Are there any Wave 2 figures that Renegade created the original stats abilities on the cards that weren't already made prior during the Avalon Hill days? So the question is basically, is there any of these miniatures? I mean, well, the Curie, I believe the Curie, we have never seen stat cards from those before. We haven't actually technically seen those before. So the best guess this is from Avalon Hill. We just had never seen it.
So Scott Gaeta, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Scott.
Said that the cards that we would be getting, presumably for these minis, I don't remember him being specific about it, presumably for all the minis that they got, would be the cards that they received from Avalon Hill. Like, that's how I remember understanding his comment. I don't think that means every punctuation mark means it's in the same place as I understood him then. So given that that's my understanding, there might be some minor variations. Like, let's say let's say there really was a 10-point bump or whatever. I would say that's the same thing. So, I mean, given that there's going to be some minor variation, I'm not seeing anything that I'm not seeing them reveal anything that is contrary to Scott's claim that what they are releasing, at least as far as, these minis go, is what they got from Avalon Hill.
So in short, we're still not seeing anything to substantiate that post-Christmas freak out on Reddit then.
Yeah.
It would be, I sign an NDA.
There's still half the set to come out though.
Right.
Well, I mean, the claim was, I think I've said earlier on this show, the claim was that they were redesigning the cards for the minis that they got. I mean, that was the claim. And I won't go into further detail about it. I'll just say it's their minis. Like, everything is theirs. If they wanted to take everything that I had done and throw it in the trash and come up with something different, it's theirs. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't sit here and complain that they can't or that they shouldn't experiment with that. But after that happened, Jason, that was when Scott said, I don't know why you're all worried about that. What we're doing is we're doing X. Mm-hmm. So I can't speak to, I'm not going to say that all those people were liars, because I can't talk about what I know from Renegade's side of the operations because of the NDA that I have with Renegade also.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there you go, Lucas. That is about much answer as you're gonna get, but appreciate the question very much. And yeah, Justin saying only complaints that Wraith Riders aren't common. Wish they would have went. Well, we're not going to see very much commons, I don't think. It'd actually be a huge surprise if we see commons this year, because just a lot of uniques.
I don't even think we'll see them next year. Or in the beginning of 2026.
This is true, unless they make changes. And these are changes maybe we might want to happen. But I know there's some of our audience who doesn't like commons at all. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
Wink. I'm looking at you, Rowan. But yeah, I mean, I think what we'll be dealing with is uniques in the future. Here, let's see here. Look at
that's fine. That's a good way to start off.
Tabletop Bro is actually in the chat there. Just noticing, saying, I don't get the no male Kyrie's criticism. Is there a criticism about?
Yeah, somebody had said that
it's coming back up. Yeah.
Okay.
That all the Kyrie are females, but it's like, we got tons of plus men.
Because in the lore,
one of them's a male.
And Taylor's Kyrie.
Yeah, one of them's a man.
Jeremy, I think you would say, because we've said this before, in the actual
we did talk
lore,
about before.
all Kiri are female. You know.
Yeah, so that's Norse mythology.
Norse mythology.
Like the base material that the game is referencing, the Valkyrie are a female concept, entirely female, and all of them that are named in all the stories are ladies. So I remember in Carmen had brought it up because when the Kyrie were announced back in 2022, this same comment came up. They're like, "Why is it just ladies?" And of course, they accused him of all a bunch of stuff that had no association with the thing. He tried to explain it's because they're trying to base it more off the Norse legend where the Valkyrie are all female, and so they're just trying to balance out the large amounts of male characters we got in the past with more of those female characters. It's just that's it. Like that's the only reason that's a thing. So I don't. It's not hidden messaging, okay? Like I don't know what else to tell you. Like please don't see things that aren't there. Apophenia is bad for you. It's very unhealthy.
Tabletop Bro, I'm enjoying the comments. I'm just catching up on the comments here. I love that. Yeah, I know you can't be on the show, but you're just spamming the comments section, which is beautiful. And Tabletop Bro says, "I've been in this chat for 10 minutes." And Tabletop Bro, believe it or not, we were talking about you in the backstage earlier too. So here.
Yeah, his ears must have been ringing. That's why he joined.
Okay, so caught up with comments then. All right. So not to interrupt. I guess what we could talk about since we're on the subject of Curie, and I know Nick, I think you got to go soon, right? In a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is there any just major point that you want to comment on before you take off?
There wasn't really anything major. I was just hoping to talk about some of the powers and tournament play possibly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just
belt something out that you felt.
Yeah, what army do you want to build right now?
Right.
Well, I like that the Essenics got thrown in right now. I think a fun army would be the Iron Lich with the Romans and his cavalry with him, because he picked his guys. And I know it's one at a time, but that can make them roll 10 spaces, and pretty much all tournament maps that their rolling doesn't get affected at all by those types of maps, really. And then they can reach even 3 spaces further, even if it's above them. So it's almost like having 13 moving away and hitting 5 attack. And they can't grab the same figure and keep moving them, but they could potentially all surround a figure.
Yeah.
So like, one of them grabs somebody and puts them same level, the other 2 could get above that figure and even attack down with like 6 or maybe 4 if they didn't get injected. So they're a great assassinator squad. You could take out like Raylan, or just misplaced figures kind of ruin the enemy's plans, especially if they don't have order markers on them anymore. And then after that, the Iron Lich can just walk around wherever he wants and target whoever he wants, and the Romans could just run around and do what they always do. So I think that'll be a fun one.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm stoked for that. I'm gonna have to get myself some Romans now.
Yeah, I like the interactive synergies with it too, because you can synergize with Ironclad Puppeteer, but you can also synergize with the Romans. And I think one overlooked thing is the dismissive Strider thing too, to where it's kind of like you're engaged, but you're not engaged. It's a very fun interplay. I don't think I've seen before with the main Heroscape miniature.
I was also going to say, because he can do that dismissive stuff, he could technically walk right through people onto height and shoot down on them.
Yeah, because he got the range. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll pull it off in a second. One of those things that I do really love seeing with these new, Age of Annihilation units, and because they were made by, the true fans of Heroscape, the ones that made the C3V. For a majority of them, you see these powers come from the C3V into actual Heroscape. So they're getting the actual recognition that they should be if by chance you aren't familiar with any of those. And I'm trying to pull through the unit that has the dismissive type ability.
Maratuk.
Maratuk, yes. So it's like really, really cool to just see these powers being intertwined with other characters and be like, wait, that looks familiar. But that's also how Heroscape is too. It's like double attack is a very generalized attack. A lot of people have that, and so why can't, a dismissive power where it's like it's so big it just jumps, crawls through, crowds of small and mediums. It's like, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess one other fun one, I think, as far as Kyrie, like one specific one, Mielke, that can do the double or attack and then heal people within 4. If you have like
that
an
is incredible.
Yeah, if you have like an end game and she's with like Rise of the Valkyrie Raylan, she could be getting 5 defense from Raylan, hitting people up to 2 times, maybe even with 5 attack, and then healing Raylan if they choose to attack Raylan first. So that could be a hard pair to get through at the end of the battle. So, other than that, I mean, I have stuff to say, but I don't have time to say it.
That's okay, Nick. Well,
the life of a Heroscape.
Well, everybody, I believe I have Nick's link in the description. If not, just find him out. Nobleman Nick Sargent Heroscape on YouTube. There is definitely a link for him on the ToV Live's last Friday's stream. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of fun tournament type videos. Give him some subscriber love. And Nick, we appreciate you coming on even for a little bit tonight and give us your insight on the thing. And you have a good night, sir.
Yeah, thank you. You too. See you guys later.
Later, Nick.
Nice meeting you, Nick. Nice meeting you.
All right, and let's see. Your TeamSki's saying the Kyries look pretty darn cool. Just having the figures are worth the price of admission. Yeah, I know when it comes to, and I think like there have been some complaints about the price. So like even like, oh, there's should be terrain with these or whatever, and I'm just like,
yeah, I want to say so. As we had the episode on Renegade Con Day. Right after I went to the game store, I had to get some stuff done, but was able to go to the game store that I've been working with and who I'm going to be doing the launch tournament with. And he's been this is going to be his 2nd year in business. He's been operating his store for almost 2 years now, and selling all kinds of product, meeting all kinds of gamers. And he's told me that the price range for these Heroscape characters are much better than what is currently on the market. He was like, based on what I sell, based on what I have, and showing, and like he even pointed out some of the sets that he had on the table. He's like, look, that's what they offer for this price. This is what we're getting for Heroscape price. Really not a bad deal comparing to what is currently on the market. Again, yes, obviously we're always going to want something cheaper. That's just how money goes. I mean, I don't think anyone really is asking to spend money at this point. But I do think it's kind of comforting, at least for me, to know that someone who is in the industry as a game store seller, someone who operates a game store on, at my local place, was able to say with no hesitation, yeah, this is good pricing, and he's willing to stock it. So I'm like, if a businessman says that, perhaps there's a reason to the costing and things like that. And again, would love to have the original prices. Don't get me wrong, $12.99 was a good day. How much Heroscape we could pick up simply because the discounts and the clearances and all that. But unfortunately, that time is not there yet. Unless we want to wait for Heroscape to go on clearance. I don't know if we want that. But yeah, I do think we are looking at just inflation in general and the unfortunate effect of it. So I don't think Renegade's really trying to get a fast one on it, as it seems to be suggested by others.
Yeah, I mean, when I was uploading my content, somebody had answered because I was, talking about pricing on some of my videos, and a gentleman named Bark Bennett was like, "Oh, I could explain the pricing," and he's like, for the battle box versus the expansions, and he's like, "It's not the expansion box is overpriced, but the battle box is actually underpriced, and this is super common pretty much everywhere. Starter sets are always a better value for money. Weird. This holds true for miniature games, card games, board games that feature expansion sets. It's industry standard." And that definitely helped me with my perspective on things. And absolutely what you said, Jeremy, it's like, yeah, compared to like everything else out there on the market, You know, because I am
good.
interested in eventually getting some BattleTech figures. And every time I go into the store, it's like, oh, it's like $45 to $50 for unpainted mechs, and it's only like 3 or 4 mechs in the box. So
What
seeing,
box are you looking at?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I guess
And,
I don't
actually,
know the name of the boxes,
Jason,
but I remember.
this is actually an interesting question to ask Jason, because Jason is more familiar. Oh, what was the issue brought up last Friday? Like comparing a Heroscape with, what was it, Mech Warrior, or was it something else?
I know someone asked about BattleTech on the
BattleTech. Yeah, it was probably BattleTech, because I think you're familiar with that. So, what's the comparison in miniatures like that?
So
with that, Jason?
the disclaimer coming out, the next set of BattleTechs come out in about a month, so we'll have all the prices then. But right now, they're about $5 to $6 per BattleTech miniature, approximately, and you get them in packs of 4 to 6, depending on which faction you're talking about. What did I click on? So yeah, these guys here for $9 a miniature that's pretty average price. It's definitely not the most expensive game out there. Your Terminators from Space Marines are $60 for a set of 5.
Yikes.
But then again, they're
that's the hobby, Like that's
they're right in line with most miniature games.
Jason, that can't be right, because there are people on the Discord who are 100% certain that the pricing of these are the same as Warhammer.
Have you played Warhammer before?
Well, look, I'm not saying I just know what these. I just know
I believe
people
you,
on Discord are saying.
I think that's funny. All things considered.
Tabletop Bros saying $65 for a set of 5 unpainted.
Right.
So the cheapest Warhammer miniatures are about $5 to $6 per miniature. Some of the Space Marines you get 10 in a box for $60. So yes, there are Warhammer miniatures that are cheaper than what you're seeing here in Heroscape. But there are also Warhammer miniatures for one hero character is about the same size as that's $30. Games Workshop prices their stuff to sell, at whatever they can sell it for. It's
right. I mean, I could be wrong, and actually, Jason, I remember that these might be questions for you. But as I recall from looking in Games Workshop, the cost per mini isn't really a fair comparison. Really, what we should be looking at is the cost per army. So when the guy in the Games Workshop, like at the back, when there's the terrain and the 2 guys standing there with the beautiful, and how much did that guy spend on that army of stuff?
Right. I honestly don't even know anymore. I haven't played Bottom Warhammer Army in years. But you could be looking at several $100s. Very easily. Even back then, I think my old Termin army was $600. This was 10 years ago. That's
wild.
Could be, I could see it being a lot of money really fast.
For sure. And there's a lot of comments here in the comment section too. Mostly Tabletop Pro, but what were we saying, Jason?
Granted, Warhammer is a larger scale game too, right? Heroscape, you have much smaller armies compared to Warhammer, but in my honest opinion, I think to some extent this whole idea of one game is cheaper than another is kind of a stupid discussion.
Yeah.
Only because you have a certain budget and you're going to spend that on the game you want to play. If you don't like Warhammer 40K, then that game has 0 value to you. Just like if you don't like Heroscape, that game is 0 value to you. Maybe a miniature is cheaper for one game for another, but if you've got $100 to spend a month on little plastic toys, you're going to spend $100 a month on whatever game that is. And if that's 1 box of miniatures for one game or 2 for another, it's doesn't really matter in the long run, in my opinion.
Yeah, the conversation is partly just it feels like it is throwing a little bit of side eye at people for how much they're choosing to spend on their hobbies.
Which is just, that's to be expected. Every one of these hobbies are not cheap. And that's the main joke, right? Me getting into wargaming has always been that funny, oh my gosh, I hope you have enough money for food. That kind of everyone knows that's the conversation that is part of the brand, is just knowing that you're going to be dropping an insane amount of money on plastic, literally, and you're just like, oh, cool, and you just keep going with it, right? It's like,
I mean,
if you need someone to help you budget, I don't know, like that's a you thing, but it's like we all know it's going to be a little pricey. Yeah, exactly, right? That's the thing. We come into this knowing there's going to be a significant, like I've explained away pricing on things that I probably should have just been honest and be like, hey, that's too expensive, don't do that. But I didn't say that, right? That don't do that button's not there when Heroscape comes involved. It's how it's always been, right? Case in point, my recent purchase of the flag bearers, right? I'll just say it right here on stream. It was 175 to get 4 of them with the dice, and I'm like, that was a hefty cost. But all things considered, most flag bearers are 100 by themselves.
Yep.
Each one, without the dice. This one came with 4 and the dice. I was like, no, that's a good deal. And that's the thing you have to think about. It's like, that's what we're working with right now. Those are the prices we have to work with right now when we're especially trying to clean up the collections. The 45-65 tier range is still honestly better than what is on third party, like for what it's been giving us and things like that. So
yeah, definitely in the grand scheme of things, after digesting all of this, everything that we're seeing right now is way more affordable in today's money than any other game. So I am truly on a very positive thinking side that Heroscape is, after this entire launch, will succeed. Assuming that we could also sell them the game on how fun it is as well and how awesome the community is.
I think that sticking with uniques is consistent with that plan, Joe, right?
Of course.
It makes it much easier to sort of limit how much it's reasonable to think that people might be spending on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I came on prepared to discuss Wave 2. What we haven't seen yet is if they, you're talking about a longer term future, what that might look like once they're beyond the designs that they got from Avalon Hill. We just don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a whole different conversation of concerns. Yeah, but as of like monetary success, I feel like this is going to be a fantastic launch just based on the well-prepared master set, the idea of the battle box being introduced, which I feel is the best way to get any new player in. And now getting these armor expansions where it's like, okay, well, now we understand how they're going to release the rest of the content. And now we can theorize what's going to be in a battle box, because I hope they do more battle boxes. And we all know they're going to do more army expansions. And so what's going to be an army expansion or not? Because now it's like, well, I'm very upset that all the Eisenecks weren't in one box, but now I'm thinking, okay, well, are the Iskatharith and the, I forgot what the tank is called, but, will those two big, huge characters be in one box for 65, or will they be included in a battle box versus the Vord for some reason? Not for some reason, but because they're actually from the same world or whatever. So it's like now we can theorize, like, okay, what's gonna come out next and what's gonna be, versing each other in. Will they have another master set? Will they have, who's gonna be in that box? Like we can start theorizing on that. Now we understand what's gonna come out. And same goes for terrain. Now I think somebody had said something about that there's only gonna be 3 terrain packs, and now that we've seen 3 terrain packs, that's done. But the only other terrain that we don't have are the walls.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think the terrain pack mentions right now they're doing the baseline, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what, not only can we enjoy it and help, like, again, it was brought up on Wednesday or Friday.
Yeah.
We get to replace our broken tiles. That's the exciting part for me. All my dry rot, all the dry rot tiles I've held on to for these 10 years or plus, right? I don't know at what point I got them, but at a certain point they just don't function well. Like mechanically cannot be put together anymore because they shatter in their hands. And it was cool because I even brought that up to the game store owner. I was like, "Hey, guess what? We get to replace our tiles now." And he got excited because he's watched me make maps at the store and things crumble in my hands. And he's just like, he's like, "Oh my God, is that okay?" And I'm like, "Look, that's the reality you accept as a Heroscape player. Up until the point that they're making new tiles, everything we got is just going to start breaking."
And then you take out your silly, you take out your silly putty and your Gorilla Glue, right? And then you're like,
you're just taping it all up. You're like, yeah, no, this is normal.
hold on, hold. We're gonna play a second.
This is the true experience. It's pretty funny.
We want to do a quick shout out to, let's see here, Team Ski for saying that he bought flag bearers for $10 on Walmart.
I know,
way back in the day. That is amazing.
That's a lie. That's a lie. They weren't at Walmart. They were at Toys R Us.
Okay, Toys R Us. Sorry.
Toys R Us.
Did he say Toys R Us? Okay.
TR,
sorry, misread. And then Justin saying that he purchased a couple flag bearers from Drake himself. So that's
the actual Drake Van Ness. Imagine
Drake
buying Heroscape from the son of Drake of Craig Van Ness. That's crazy.
I remember looking at the flag bearers on the shelf at Toys R Us and thinking $10 for like one dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, different time. It's crazy.
And Tabletop Bro, your comments are always appreciated, but I'm not going to read them all. 100+ comments tonight. Wow, I'm not going to catch up with them.
Yeah, we're talking.
I'm just not going to catch up with them. So everybody, if you're watching this on
you
replay,
just gotta pick and choose, man.
Just look at the comments because there's a whole other conversation going on there that is very, very interesting. So,
and I do remember that being a big thing about the flag bearers back at the time. They were considered the most expensive Heroscape thing you could get because it was just one miniature with the dice bags and everything. But at the time, it was in the mindset of a Heroscaper. You're seeing just one guy versus the sets that came with like 2 squads or a pack of heroes or the master sets, right? So flag bearers was a big. It was an interesting marketing tactic to have them all separate. But again, it became so popular because of that. Those options they provided. Rest in peace, Hatamoto, the only one that no one uses. But everyone else, all the other flag bearers, I've seen still in combat.
I think I've used him the most, to be honest, in some of
really the samurai. Or I've heard he's not like his heroic defense isn't as heroic.
Glenn and Michaela are huge Einar fans, and he likes using the samurai, and he's like, oh, you can fit in the armies. He's cheap enough in Delta, so let's do it.
Oh, Delta scores. Yeah, I could. Now that makes more sense. I was like, are you playing classic? Because he's like 120 points. He's a little expensive there, don't you think? I mean, you get like one squad of samurai and maybe an Ashigaru before you start passing. You're like, ooh. But,
exactly.
Who likes samurai?
Exactly.
I think the hype was for the Einar specifically, but the samurai are pretty solid options. And again, shout out to Dadscaper.
Yeah, they have Kato also.
They have Kato. Yeah, Kato's what gives them their oomph. Unfortunately, it's not Hatamoto, but Hatamoto looks great on the battlefield.
We're completely lost in the woods here with this conversation.
Yeah, we need to start redirecting back to the point of Wave 2 and anything else that stands out that was talked about last Friday. We were discussing the terrain packs for a second. Let's go back to those a second now. The one of the important things that were in those was, of course, the main terrain set to where we're getting grass, we're getting rock, we're getting sand, and now we're getting 24 hex sand tiles.
And they actually do.
And I kind of like Rye Guy's video and his perspective on this, to where he's probably going to withhold from buying that pack and then just purchasing the 24 hex sand tiles later. And I have a similar opinion. I already know I'm getting terrain from the master set already, and I already have a ton of terrain. So I am probably going to do the same thing and not purchase this, but I'm probably going to get the big sand stuff later, just purchasing separately. But the water tile stuff looks fun because you got your sparkly water and you also got your sparkly wellspring water, and that's lovely. So yeah, go ahead.
I think one thing I'm going to do, just specifically because the offering is pretty, I do want to start phasing out some of my older tiles. So I might do a stress test and see what needs to really get rid of, and then probably buy one to replace all of that. And my theory is, like, if I had to, Yeah, right. My theory is that if I end up getting to a point where I have too many tiles, I can just donate it to the game store. Since I will be operating the tournaments over at his place or at his venue, so I'm probably just going to be like, look, I don't need all of these. I got enough for myself, and then a couple games when people come over. But here, you can have the rest for tournament stuff, and then I'll just do that kind of rotational thing and just like clean out my stock. But I could, yeah, I only see personally, I see myself selling one, but I will be pushing the game store to look into acquiring a couple of those sets because I know he's going to be able to sell it to more than just Heroscapers.
Mhm.
He's already said whenever I set a map up, he gets everybody that walks in is like, wow, cool D&D map, and he's like, well, it's not D&D, but
Jeremy, do you want to jump from there into talking about the special, like the retailer box? Because I know that you mentioned earlier.
Can I ask one question about the $70 set quickly? I'm curious, like this whole dry rot thing you were talking about. So if I've got, say, several master sets that have been full of old terrain tiles for 20 years that I haven't touched, if I open them up, they can all fall apart in my hands.
Some of the it's hard to say. I don't know how to determine when a tile is no longer usable, but I have had the experience where I'll set up a map with my old tiles, and I know I've had all of these since for years now, and just as I go to undo the thing, it goes and it just will literally snap in half, and I'm just like holding half a tile, like, okay, this is garbage now, but and it happens randomly. My scary one is the lava tiles. Lava tiles are really dry rotted too, and I'm trying so hard to maintain as many of those as I can. So Renegade, you want to do another terrain set? Lava would be a great time.
Would be lovely.
Right.
I'm not sure if I got a budget
whenever
for
you get the
box
chance.
sets or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm losing my lava tiles quickly, but for the most part, I've been able to maintain a good bit. Because I got lucky to bought another set at some point in the 10 years. I can never tell you when these came into my stock, but I do have enough lava tiles to run a map. It's just scary to watch them one by one turn to dust, and I'm just like, no, please, not the lava. Like, but
Jason, they won't go all at once. You'll
no, it's random. I can't really. I wish there was a way to determine early, but it's just kind of as it happens. I'm just replacing when
interesting.
I'm interesting.
Okay.
I heard comments there was a different type of plastic used at like a midway point, like right around the Swarm of Tomorrow era. Those pieces started to be noticing a little bit more like stability. I don't know if that's a thing or just kind of a community recognition, but yeah, that's what I heard. It was like after Swarm of Tomorrow, the tiles are a little bit better designed. But
so do you want
Rise
to
of the Valkyrie?
You want to talk about the retailer package? What is that?
Grab that.
Yeah,
so
go ahead. Yeah, I don't have that on. Well, maybe I can get the link here.
I was asking Jeremy.
Yeah.
I do.
Go ahead.
I got you.
Yeah.
So part of the offerings of Renegade, part of the things that they want to do is, of course, incentivize local games, and so I think this is part of that incentivization. They have a special retail offering, and I put the link in. It's in the Discord.
Yeah, it's in the Tales of How Discord.
A little bit further up.
Yeah, and ToV podcast stuff. Yep. That's what I'm looking for.
Scroll a little bit up for it. I got it.
Retailers Renegade Studios.com. Yep. Here, hold on a second. I'm going to pull that.
Yeah. So the first link that I linked is all the offerings of Heroscape currently, and particularly the ones that the stores would be interested in seeing, because it also gives them an opportunity to sign up for being direct retailers, where they don't have to order through a third party, they can order directly through Renegade. And that's a really important thing for all of the people that are listening to this podcast right now that want to help with launch tournaments, organized play, whatever, what have you. You got to get your store to sign up to be a direct retailer with Renegade. It gives them better options to get those orders done and get that stuff to, so stuff can show up in August and all that for sales. But one of those sets that they have is called the Heroscape Tournament Organizer Terrain Kit pre-order. So for $100, they're offering. You get 336 pieces of terrain. It's all that, grass, rock, all of that. It doesn't come with the 24 hex tile sand, but it does come with 48 sparkly water tiles, which is probably the highest offering of sparkly water tiles I've ever seen in a set. Considering, right? This was first edition water. It was only out for Rise of the Valkyrie that one time. So you want to stock up on some sparkly water. I think the retail set would be the best option. But it says enough terrain to build up to 4 maps, support a 8-person tournament. You get instructions on how to create the map with those with all the contents come with it, and it also does come with 12 bushes, 20 wall terrain pieces. So like you get 4 walls and then the connectors for that, and then the instruction sheet. So really, really sound offering. I think especially for all of these stores who are getting into here, like not saying that they're getting into Heroscape for the first time ever, but may have a chance to finally get a Heroscape in their stores. A flat $100 fee to cover that much terrain seems to be really. I like the option. I'm like, this is really cool. That they have that offering. They want people to stock up. Here you go. Did you miss out on the initial wave of terrain? Here's $100. You can get all of this, and then this is enough to play for. Like the fact that they're saying it's enough to play for eight people. That's insane.
Right.
Just to get that started. So.
Yeah. Do you want to say something, Escaper? Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I really like this as a package for retailers. So I agree with your conclusion that this is a good thing. But there are some steps before I get there. It's not really enough. I don't think it's really enough to build 4 competitive maps.
Fair.
And it's certainly not going to be enough to build 4 maps. I don't think that you could pull from a reliable source for competitive maps. And it's not even something, because there won't be so many of them out there. Like no map maker is going to be working with, if you have this package. So these are, because that's how map makers work. Map makers work with sets. One ROTV, one Takala Jungle, and that's what you need to make this map. No one is going to be providing that service for this big box of terrain. I don't think it's for a competitive scene the way most hobbyists think of competitive scenes. And I'm not talking about Heroscape people.
Just
I'm not
general.
talking about, I'm just mean like, Jason, all these other games that you play, the competitive scene is, you have certain expectations of like map quality when you show up, of competitive balance. I don't think this will really support that. It's just my guess from the amount of terrain in there. I could be wrong.
Right.
I don't think it offers what they say it offers. But, and this is why I suggested, Jeremy, that you bring it up now, because you had talked about the value of eye candy at the store. And that's what this is. It lets the store set up like something ridiculous and gorgeous and like huge, or 2 sort of decent amateur, but God bless you for trying maps. The 2 people can 4 people can sit at this table and play a couple of games side by side. So I think what it does is not really give you stuff for an actual competitive scene, but it does let you plant the seed for a competitive scene. Because once you have like 4 people who come in to play Heroscape on Saturday afternoons, then nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. Now you have people getting into it and starting to embrace the competitive, like the software and everything. And then those people will bring then it'll be like it is now. Those people will bring the maps that will actually be used in actual tournaments. It helps them sell. That's what I think it's for.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I could see that for sure. Again, with what I've already been able to generate in terms of hype, I guess, because that's primarily why I'm working with the game store right now. I'm his advertising arm for Heroscape. Essentially, I'm there to present the product. I do demos, live demos. I have customers walk in on the games and they're like, "What's going on here?" And I do a quick explanation of what's going on. I've kind of set it to a very because I talk all the time. You all know this. I wouldn't be on the podcast if I didn't. But I try to keep it nice and short and simple for new players to come in and see exactly what's offering. I show them kind of like a rules list. I'm like, this is what the game's because people used to make handouts. I can't remember. They're like rules handouts, and I have little cutouts that I print. So when I'm teaching people the rules, I hand them a sheet and I'm like, here you go. This is the basic rules. Here you go. This is the master rules, and it's very nice, concise, easy to get into formatting. So having all this land up and setting things up, like come in one day, build a mountain out of it. One day, build a little valley out of it. Just have fun. It's like Minecraft. Just come in, show up whenever you want. You could do a little sandbox if you wanted of Heroscape in the middle of the store. It's like, here you go, play with it, have fun. And, and I could see it generate a lot of interest.
Absolutely, and that's obviously how you get people into the game. That's how I got in the game. Yeah. And I got to build castles and moats and kind of just play things out. And I didn't really even play the game. I saw it as a toy, and obviously growing up, and coming back to it, and you're like, oh, there's a competitive scene. Oh, there's strategies. Oh, there's this, and that's how you keep a player. You get them in the door with the cool figures and the cool terrain, then you keep them with the amounts of community research and development that they've done to make really insane armies with a lot of cohesion. So
I'm sorry, I'm still reading the comments in the chat.
Yeah, no, it's been very entertaining.
Yes, it is. But,
can I ask a related question to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course.
Yes. Do we know anything about Renegade's plans for maps for the competitive scene? Are they going to have like their own list of approved maps, or are they going to use some of the more traditionally used tournament maps of Heroscape? Or do we not know anything yet?
Good question. I want to say that would be with the organized play director they have. So I will say this: I think it's cool that there's a person they've hired specifically for organized play. Like his entire job and what they pay him for is to do organized play for Heroscape. So I would imagine you could actually just ask him directly. I think his name is Trevor.
Yeah.
I think.
And I thought we were going to get information about that during this Wave 2 con, because Gen Con's right around the corner. We don't know what the maps are. We don't know what the formats are. We know there's a pre-made one and there's a battle box one, and it's like, okay, cool.
You do have to go on the Gen Con website for those, because Trevor's. He was kind of going over the generals of each tournament format, but if you want to know the specifics, you do have to go on the Gen Con website. They have all the rules and stuff set up there. For example, the pre-made tournaments, I think is supposed to be 300 pointers. Which is wild, because I was trying to work some of those out, and I was like, this is gonna be. The best army I got so far with that was 2 green scales in Niflheim. I'm things like that. I'm doing small, because that's 300 points. I'm
300 points is pretty
tiny
small.
setup. So
yeah,
but I think this is just a start. A lot of it is just new, and if there's something that you notice that they could do better with, highly recommend you give that feedback. I mean, most of these companies would love to hear from you if you go through the right channels. Just use that feedback format. Look, this is what I've done. This is my experience with this. This is my suggestion. And I'll be honest, Lee has answered my emails more than I expected. So I'm like, okay, cool. They read the stuff. So if there's something that you think is really you really want to bring it up, I honestly encourage you to send them a message. This is probably a good time for them to get that information too. So,
I have no insight into how they're, answering the question of what to do about maps.
I'm sorry, you're saying something, Dadscaper? I think you're cutting in and out there. Dadscaper?
His internet dropped.
I think we got technical difficulties with Dadscaper here, but
he was gonna give out actual information here, and the man cut him down.
My goodness, yeah, got cut out.
Oh,
wait. There he goes.
Oh, there he is. That's okay. It's okay.
All right, I switched to my phone.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah. If I'm Trevor, I want people using maps that they can make from sets that Renegade has made.
That's fair.
So Yeah, so it's likely that there's going to be a period of transitioning away from many of the great maps we've been using for a long time to
No more shadow.
yeah. But it could be a while, and people are going to have their own tournaments, right? Like the software looked like it would accommodate tournament directors doing whatever kind of events they wanted. It might be that their own events accommodate older maps.
All right.
Well, yeah, for sure. And you know, to be, I don't know if they'll go through community channels. You know, I'm sure they'll just make stuff on the fly, you know, behind the scenes. And everyone's gonna show up on the day going, "What in God's name is this?" But you know, some of the community members already. I think it was Tommy. He put out a contest for using, you know, only AoA stuff. So there's already, I think, 15 solid maps for them to technically choose from. Will they? No, but like, you know, the community is fast. You know, we're getting through it. We're getting ahead of the game.
I think, and it's probably just excitement because I mean, again, I think it's really cool to appreciate that Heroscape is getting a scene now, right? Mm-hmm. Like, not that it's always had its scene, and
it's gonna have a different scene.
It's gonna have a different scene. It's gonna have a more, you know, something that's a little bit more accessible, to the mainstream gaming scene. And as much as I love the forums, it's like that's just the thing. It's like forums are exclusive to people that like forums, right? Like only certain types of people use forums, and that's awesome, right? We enjoy it. We use the service. We've used the service for years, but that excludes the people who don't use forums. And now with this coming out, with these options, these opportunities, the local tournaments, and all that stuff, more people to play the game, which means more people for you to play with, you know, and getting the game out there. So I'm just, yeah, it's probably gonna be a little bit rough because we're used to certain things. We've run the scene for this long, right? On these terms that we've had, because this is all we were able to bring up was we have our forum, we have our website, or the Heroscape.org, which is awesome, super awesome tool. But then again, this company is also trying to make their place for Heroscape, and so it's like, yeah, no, like I'm going to try to support both, be like, you know, stay in the forums, but see how the website goes, things like that, and like, you know, bump around and try to help get that going. To a point, it's like, yeah, at a certain point, then you'll be like, okay, no, it's not working. But I think they're trying really hard, and that's what's important, is that effort is very visible in a lot of things that they've done already. So
I agree that the effort is like this. What we've seen is the stuff that Lee touches. We're beginning to see the stuff that Trevor touches. The effort is clearly there. Like they seem to be fully committed to making it work.
All right, and
yeah, I could see it for sure.
We are. Let's see here. We're about to wrap up with this because, like I said, we can go on all night talking about this. But we gotta find a place to pair off. But I do want to. Here, I'm gonna hop to this because there's something that Nobleman Nick himself was saying in the comments that I just want to cover one more thing when it comes to the Curie. And here, let me get to this. Queen, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher the name.
Kyrian,
yeah.
That's how I'm saying it.
Was mentioning the fact that with Heart Finder Spear 12, you can go up against Deathwalker 9000, and that Deathwalker 9000 potential to only roll 1 die in defense.
Yeah,
that's actually very interesting when it comes to that.
It's a very good power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I could see that ruining some of it. That's another Deadeye Dan experience. You're like, oh, it's not great. All of a sudden, wins the game. You're like, oh.
I mean, a 12 or higher is nothing to scoff at. Like that's a really good. Those are good odds.
Yeah, it's nearly 50-50. Right. I mean, still, you don't want to count on 20-sided dice, you know?
Oh yeah,
of course not. No, but
relying on dice rolls is scary.
Yeah. For a 4 defense, 4 life at 110, that's a really good power to have on your side.
It is. Right. Well, yeah, it's very interesting.
No, I might be misremembering. Is there a custom that has bonuses with queens, or is that? Am I thinking of that works
the mummies
specifically? Okay.
I believe the mummies. I don't know if.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
I don't know if
vaguely
it's
remember a power out there.
Valkyrie or not, or general like specific or anything like that though.
Valhalla custom.
Yeah, and I know it's like Justin's saying over an hour and haven't gotten to the main topic yet, but fantastic show nonetheless. Well, the main topic was recapping what we thought stood out to us. So, I mean,
Yeah,
technically,
this is a recap.
We knew we weren't going to get into everything. I know, like when I stream this Wednesday, I'll start reading through everything, the lore and the stats and cards, and give my thoughts on these as well this coming Wednesday on my own stream. But I do want to mention one other thing that was mentioned during that initial Renegade stream. But before I do, anything else that stands out to you guys that you want to talk about before we wrap?
Yeah, the Crypt Guardians Royal Escort.
Queen Heroes.
They will get bonding with the Queen Kyrian.
That's nice. Okay. All right.
It's really nice.
Yeah, you just got a bunch of mummies and then
a Curie just walking down like, yeah.
Sarah, which one's that?
that is just top Heroscape awesomeness. The Crypt Guardian is a C3V unit.
Okay. For Kyrian?
Yeah, they're common heroes, I believe.
Right. No, yeah. I think I have one or 20. I think.
Yeah, I was thinking of getting a couple more, and now I have a better opportunity to get them. Yeah, and more of an incentive than before.
That's cool.
But yeah,
I like finding these old bondings. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coming back to what Ryan was saying is just like literally like what was standing out for me. I mean, other than seeing how awesome seeing the Eisenecks, I'm so stoked to play with the Eisenecks. Even though once again forgetting the name. The big boy is not in that pack.
Oh, the Manticore.
The Manticore.
Yeah, that's right.
Hellforge's Manticore.
That's the one I'm most excited for. That's the one I really, really want.
I want to see.
Joe, that faction was super fun in playtest.
Yeah.
Like
it's just top notch. It's like one of those things I don't think I would ever expect out of Heroscape, even though the closest thing we have are the Morrow and the Soulborgs, and it's like having that combination of both of them is just like, yeah, so awesome. So yeah, I'm very excited to have them it finally come out, and I'm just really stoked for the terrain. Having a whole pack of water. Using even if I'm not gonna spread that water around, I know my fiance Jill said it. I know I think Rowan said it. It's like let's make waterfalls. Let's use the terrain to stack. Like I'm gonna use this stuff for Heroscape Adventure. This is why I want this terrain. Like I want to be able to use this terrain to make extravagant, beautiful maps. Because I already have enough terrain to make. 2 or 3 tournament maps. I guess having an extra pair of trees is actually really good, so I can make a couple more competitive maps, because a lot of maps use the trees. But yeah, it's just having that more terrain, and then of course the 24 hex sand. Like the desert maps I want to make are finally gonna happen. Like much easier. I don't have to mix it in with rock. I would stack all the sand all the grass underneath the sand to kind of build it up and make it like all lively and like sand hills. Like Ashidulu is just gonna be swimming, okay, through all that sand. I'll make my own custom Dune characters just to recreate the entire Dune 2.
So I still have these. From Magic the Gathering.
I had those too. Yeah,
I didn't know exactly what to do with them because they're just the palish yellow, that tan yellow. Yeah. And I was just like, I could put it on top of things, but it's just because it's just one color. I was always having an issue with it.
So much.
It stands out. But now you can just put like sand pits with your 24 hex sand tile,
and that could be on the bottom.
Drop it in. Yeah, and this could be the bottom layer. As all these regular.
We could actually probably
into the desert.
We could actually make those custom like sand pit, like quicksand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could do. They have quicksand rules in the game in like a couple scenarios too, so you could always like poke it around and see how.
Officially?
Yeah, I want to say there was quicksand firefight. Oh gosh, which one? One of the swamps. Trollsford swamps.
Oh,
The
okay.
Trollsford swamp scenario. They dropped this. It was on the website. Years ago. Old memory.
Oh.
It's just but it was basically a quick session where you played on the Trollsford swamps, a 2-person game, and I think it was water was dangerous. You couldn't step in it. You couldn't fly because there was poison gas, and then all the sand tiles was quicksand. Yeah, and so you had to roll.
Oh, how cool!
You had to roll to see if you could survive it. Yeah, it was really interesting.
I'll have to look at that. That is really, really neat. Because I know I mean that's an online scenario thing. That's not in any of the rule books. And I've said it multiple times.
It was on the website.
At some point, I feel like I should go through the scenarios, especially because, which I thought they were going to tease too, is their monthly scenarios.
That I know nothing of, but we'll be running.
I'm crossing my fingers for Wave 3 in October. I'm crossing my fingers.
When I know, you will know, because I will be presenting all of that, because I know that's what I want. Honestly, that's my biggest interest, is helping run those monthly scenarios. I would love to report. Oh, hey, this is what we're doing this month, guys, and then show you all what results. Future ideas.
That's great content.
Yeah, we just don't know what it is yet.
Now, before we get into the last question, anything about, because they did announce also Cornelius Breach. Anything stands out to you about that? Or just,
right.
Yeah, it did.
That also happened.
Yeah, that also happened.
I'm excited. I mean, I'm glad.
Pirate.
I'm glad they kept.
Pirate.
I again shout out to the original designers. So this is shout out to the War Council. I see that what's it called? That combo name you made for his species, the Demotor. Right. I'm fixated on that specifically because it's a lore thing.
Yeah.
Heroscape has always done. Heroscape has the tropes, right? We know that they refer to a lot of mythology across multiple cultures all the time. That's just how fantasy works. But Heroscape has the unique feature of what I've noticed, and they started this. I want to say they started it with the Trollticore, which, if you know your words, that's just troll manticore smashed together, because that's what Brunak is. He's a troll manticore. And they've been doing that since Brunak's release. Phelan has this unique property of where they take mythologies and smush it all together. So Demotor, a demon minotaur. I get it. Awesome point. Yeah, very cool. Very cool naming convention there. And I know for a fact that does call back to those people that may remember Phelan's design aesthetic, where it was a bunch of myths kind of smushed together on that planet, plus elves. That's just mainly what Phelan does. Elves and myths, so elves and legends, but
that's the only scenarios, that's the only design from all of these that came from a faction that I led. The Demotor had nothing to do with me. Like, I sort of designed and sent it in, and then it was the people inside Avalon Hill and Hasbro who came back with Demotor, and I am absolutely confident that you are correct. That it is a callback to.
I think if anything, I won't assign it because we don't know officially, but I could see this being an Encarmine thing. Like, he was like, "Oh, is that
That's exactly what I was thinking."
He's the type of person to be like, "All right, if they're just combining names, I'm going to combine a name and create a Demotor." Because he also did the language, right? He made the Kiri letters. Like, I mean, he was getting into the world building like nobody else.
Yeah, so. You would have loved.
I tried to get him to share me that lore book. I asked him a couple times. I was like, "You said you had a lore book, but I'm curious what you meant by that." And he's just like, "Yeah, 46 pages." And I was like, "Yeah, you want to share?" It's like, "Thanks for telling how much is there. Now I want it even more."
I think
the worst part is if he sends you a 45-page book and you're like,
"Where's the 2 pages?"
You could see it actually being ripped out. There's like 2 letters, like 2 words there.
It's another National Treasure movie. Just me looking for the last 2 pages of the book.
I think I've told the story on this podcast of when I met him in person. I went to visit Craig at Hasbro and met, and he introduced me to Chris. And Chris had no idea I was coming. He just sort of launched into a 30-minute explanation of how the magic system works in Heroscape, including how it relates to the real world, which is to say,
that's amazing.
It just went like 30 minutes. He just went.
That's peak. All over that.
All right.
And I do enjoy Heroscape. Heroscape's lore, a lot of people say, is very loose, and that's one of those interesting things about it. Despite its looseness, people can get carried away and enjoy so much of the aesthetic with what it provides, because the primary aspect of Heroscape is that there's no genre, right? And oh, you like robots? Well, we have robots. You like dinosaurs? We have dinosaurs. You like dragons? Like, it has everything. There's literally an answer for everything. I had someone come up to me at the game store, and they're like, "What's the cute stuff for Heroscape?" And my first answer was the Clockwork Online. I have no offense, but I was just like, "Oh, you want cute? We got some animals
little
with guns,
woodland creatures." Yep.
and it worked. I mean, literally at this point, it's like we have an answer to almost every aesthetic in this game alone, and that's what I enjoy about it. And just watching them attempt the narrative to kind of combine it all together, props to you, because that's a lot of cannons to work with, but they do a pretty good job. They did a great job in the past. I've always documented what they've had in the past, and I'm really eager to see what they got for the future. So
absolutely,
it sounds like, I mean, they got a lot of good stuff. So
yeah, a lot more to come. And I think we're gonna wrap now. I did want to discuss the last thing I want to discuss was the integration of their their tournament website, basically, where it's like map builder, but almost reminds me of like Heroscape.org clone. So I don't know if I'm going to get too much of that, because I think it's already been discussed in other areas, and we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see when it comes out. I think all we've seen is screenshots of it, so there was some
info.
Yeah.
There was some info I saw after the fact that might be interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. Apparently, they are giving out special avatars. They did mention that they were giving out special avatars for activity completions. So essentially, the rule is that if you do a certain task, you get a graphic reward in the website. So they're giving out Shiori avatars if you show up to a launch tournament. Which I'm like, that's a little quaint. I mean, obviously, if avatar hunting is not your thing, like some people like their their options in presenting their characters, emblems. I'm thinking of the word emblem, or just like, hey, I get to customize
avatar
a profile.
is just as good.
Yeah, it's anything to make yourself stand out, especially with the things. I've noticed a lot of people like that. So it was a really cool feature they're offering that ties in with the community experience of coming and playing a game. It's like, because I love Heroscape.org setup. I use it still. I've been using it. Probably going to still use it. But I would probably use the Battle Network site just to kind of promote the company's vision of this, and then be like, hey guys, log in your battles here or something like that. But don't, I'm using Heroscape.org tournament stuff while I'm working, in the background. Like, don't mind me. But I'll probably just punch in some data just to kind of see how it works, and give the web text, that like options. Hey, this is what they're doing.
Yeah, but, we'll have to see how that all works out in the future, and if they're gonna have a map builder, if they're because I didn't hear anything about any map builder being created or anything like that.
No, none of that was talked about, and that's fine. I don't think this is gonna be way down the line. They're trying to get the stuff out as fast as possible at a certain amount of rate that is comfortable for them. I don't know how many resources they really have. I think they're still practically building out their team. The team's trying to still get used to each other. So,
Great. I think because I still think it's funny that Lee got hired on Labor Day. Like, that was she got hired on a day you don't technically work, but she was picked up for Heroscape that day. She's been working on it since. Just take that into consideration. Heroscape has not been worked on since, there's a Labor Day of 2023.
There's a lot of work to do. We got to be patient.
This is what they've been able to do. So we gotta see. I think give them more time, see what happens.
And based on what we've seen so far, I feel like we will get that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they're committed.
Yeah, and I think I'll have plenty of time to make my wants and needs for a Heroscape app.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing. We haven't heard anything about an app.
Yeah, no app. Everything's been on the website.
Everything's website. I'm like, hey, I mean, I'm on the internet all the time, but not everyone's on the internet.
And that's honestly, at this point, guys, I think having a website as like the one place to like for the new Age of Annihilation to go and like get information and bio and build an army with the Battle Network, and if it's all connected to the Renegades website, I think is totally fine. There's enough apps on my phone.
Yeah.
Everything is. Oh, could you download
No
our
more
app?
apps. I agree.
Can you download my app? Please download my app.
Every store has one. Every store has one, and it's a separate thing you download. Another separate several megabytes of info you don't plan on using more than twice.
Yeah.
Would I use it every day? Yeah, absolutely. It would be like the main thing. It wouldn't be even hidden in one of my boxes of folders. It would be out there. It would replace my phone icon or my text message icon. How often I would actually use that, especially if .org was an app. Wink, wink. So it would be my number one thing because I have I think 3 or 4 tabs open of .org currently working on armies. So
I have .org open a lot, especially when I start my tournament stuff or. Not even tournament stuff. When I'm running demos at the game store, I'm
getting personally attacked in the comments right now. I'm being called a boomer.
I saw that.
That is not.
That's
okay.
Awful. That's just way too low below the belt.
It's because it's your app, the app rant. You got pinned for the app rant.
All right. How about we wrap for tonight, guys? I mean, we shared.
I had one last thing of the tournament discussion.
Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
Because one disadvantage with having everything on the Heroscape specific thing is there are other websites right now that handle online or handle tournaments for tabletop gaming, and they basically have every game except Heroscape right now on this one website. So it would be a good advertising thing to at least have your stuff, if you have it on the Heroscape website, also publish it to some of these other major platforms that handle tabletop gaming tournament, just to get that word out there. I'm on longshanks.org right now as one of them, and they pretty much have every major game, including some that are no longer produced, but no Heroscape. But yeah, so I would say just don't rely solely on what Renegade is doing for publishing and promoting your tournaments.
I think it'll be a while before we know what's actually under the hood anyway, what they're offering.
True. Yeah.
Sooner or later, hopefully, everything will be revealed. But instead of giving final thoughts, let's just do some plugging away, and then we can end it, and then do a backstage and call it a night. So, Jeremy, go ahead. Plug your channel. Plug your stuff first.
Yeah, I will. I remembered to talk about the thing I was going to talk about since everyone here on the show. Again, real quick, just to mention, I went to Walgreens at midnight, and I was able to tell the cashier about the Lands of Valhalla and the Waters of Valhalla set, and the man bellowed the most excited shout I've ever heard out of somebody cashiering for a Walgreens at midnight. And just wanted to put it out there. He does not play Heroscape at all, but he was very excited about the Lands expansion because as a BattleTech player, he saw it as an opportunity to finally set up maps for himself. And if that, among all the other things that we've heard, is not a good sign, then it made me hopeful just to hear that, how excited he was as a BattleTech player. And that's the one BattleTech player I know officially in person. And that's just the top, right? Because again, I'm still setting up games at the game store. I will be running the launch tournament. So if you are in the Southern Tennessee area and you do want to either help out or be there to help support or be present and possibly get yourself a Shiori miniature, I will mention out loud here, the pre-order sets come with 9. So depending on how many people I will have appearing, that's how many I will order. I will not be able to just randomly, oh, hey, here you go, a miniature. So you got to let me know if you want to go. And I'm going to start off with the base set. If we do get more people interested, more than 9, then I'll look into getting another set. But that's where we're going to try to stick with is the offerings from what I noticed. They've also launched the second pre-order set with the Cornelius Breach offering for National Heroscape Day, which, again, can we talk about how we took as far as I understand, this is a community agreed day, not an actual day. And they turned it into an actual holiday. Can we they actually made National Heroscape Day a thing because there's going to be a tournament offering for it. You can get special miniatures. The Cornelius Breach character is going to be what they're offering for National Heroscape. So you do any tournaments for that, you get him. But I also saw the set for that, and it's also a set of 9. So each pre-order set comes with 9 of those. And if I get more than 9 people interested, I'll order more. But for the most part, you can expect about 9 of those miniatures available at my store nearby, and then whenever other things happen. But yeah, other than that, I've just been working on. I do want to go over the lore of all these characters and kind of showcase some of the really good stories that they've written. Just to summarize what I am super excited about, Glenerva's reference, introducing her as a member of the Moon Tribe. Right, we know the Moon Tribe from 2007, and they mention her as this like. She's a priestess that became a warrior because of necessity. And I'm like, that's great. We love this. And so I'm excited to see more about that information. I do want to talk about those references so you, as a Heroscape player or interested member of the Heroscape community, can kind of catch up on that kind of stuff. Because I know it's a lot of information. Of course, being who I am, it just sits in my brain. So here I will be offering it at some point so that way you can catch up on those. And you don't have to read up on everything if you don't want to. But I do encourage it because the Wikipedia is good now. I can say that the Wikipedia is good now. So, but other than that, that is everything from me. Again,
Thanks,
super
sir.
excited for all these launches, and I turn my time. All right, I yield my time.
Thank you, Jeremy. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me on the show. People can reach out to me on the Heroscapers website at Dadscaper there, or DS3272. Other places like Discord, which I hate because I suppose I'm also a boomer. I just find it impossible to have a sensible conversation with a beginning, a middle, and an end because it's always the middle. I'm also going to be at Gen Con this year, and I hope to see some of you guys there. And I just wanted to express, I guess, I'm really excited about the return of Heroscape. I want people to embrace it. I am, as I've been all along, cautiously optimistic that they're working hard on it. And so far they're doing what they said they would do, which is releasing the good designs that the Avalon Hill team worked on. I think the price points look. It's not a game anymore where it's reasonable to think you'll have 3 times everything, unless you do. But I don't think that they're marketing it that way. They're marketing you get what you, when the time is right for you personally. First you get the big box. Then when the time is right for you personally, you'll add this bit or this other bit. And that's the way that the game is headed. I don't think there's any reason to think that shouldn't work. It's just different. And I hope that people will embrace it. There are a lot of good designs coming. Thanks again for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Ben. All right, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been busy on my. I actually the other day talking about my video ideas, and if you're a fan of me, about this, my big stack of video ideas. It's nice and thick, right? Nice and thick. I just organized the first, I think, month and a half until ScapeCon with the content that I'll be releasing and working on. So, got a lot to. Very busy. But in the meantime, please go check out my second reactions to all of the Renegade Con panels. I talk pretty extensively the entire time. So if it's the first time you're going to watch those, go watch it originally. I will be talking over all of it. So go listen to those. I have 3 separate videos for each individual section if that's what you're interested, or if you want to listen to the entire thing, there's like an hour and a half worth of me. So with that said, that is what's going on the channel. I'm super stoked. I'm totally upset about not going to Gen Con to stand next to the Love Attack and the Raylan, unmounted Raylan, life-size figures.
Yeah, that's
great. And me. You could say.
Oh, right. And Ben. Yes, right. Yeah, Dadscaper. Yes. Not being there to see him, and his beautiful mug. So, yeah. I want to say something about the unmounted Raylan. I really hope at some point we do get an unmounted Raylan.
Right.
I think it's a really good stance and model. I don't know, Dadscape, do you have any story on that? Are you aware of that? There was an unmounted Raylan at any point?
What do you?
Are you not familiar?
Help me out.
So
they showed an unmounted Raylan as a basically
as a life-size figure,
life-size
but
figure.
they have a model for it.
Yeah, I saw the life-size things at Gen Con. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to getting my pictures taken with them. That art was beyond our control as members of the War Council, and I don't remember ever even seeing art for an unmounted Raylan, though it's possible that it existed and I just forgot. I don't think I ever even saw it.
Okay. Figured I'd ask.
That's interesting, though.
But yeah, I would like, because I think it'd be really cool to still get, let's say, I mean, Raylan, right, as she is now, as the card with the what is the tiger thing called? The
There's no name for it yet.
There isn't.
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
I will say though, apparently it is an old design because Grunge Bob recognized it. He's like, "Hey, that's that mini we never released."
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, the mount is actually something that was supposed to come out a long time ago, apparently.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, Manticore. Justin's saying it's a Manticore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would be really interesting to see if they ever do release like an unmounted version. I know NGC has been currently exploring that idea with having a mounted and unmounted figures. So it would be, I think, a really, really cool thing to see. So I figured I'd point that out.
Imagine a mechanic where you can unmount combat
exactly
powers and stuff like that based on the situation.
Yeah. That would be really interesting. Or even just saying like, you know, because the reason you would want to take a double space figure is so you can use her twisted spear for more affected area, right? The double space peanut will cover more space opposed to the single space. And like, what if you were like, oh, I don't want to spend this amount of points. It's a lot of points. Oh, I want this version. It's a cheaper version, but it won't the effect, because essentially it's the same power. It's not like she doesn't have flying and she has flying now because of the Manticore. Like that's not how that works.
She's been flying. Yeah, day one.
It literally would be just like the amount of her affected area. Right. So yeah, that's just one thought too that I thought was like, I had to mention that. So yeah, I'm going to ScapeCon. And I'm so stoked to finally come back to ScapeCon, and nice. I'm currently working on plans to drive, so I am ready for a road trip.
Let's go.
But yeah, with that said, go check out those videos, and if you can use my affiliate link, it's a huge support to me. I've seen a lot of people use it, and I'm like so grateful. I
say on my videos to take it. I don't have an affiliate link, and I just say just give it to Joe. Just give it to Joe. So,
yeah. But I mean, kind of an alley-oop. Go to his what is the
Patreon?
Patreon. Yeah, go use the Patreon. But yeah, so with that being a huge grateful thank you very much to everyone that has used my code and hopefully continue to use my code. But there are tons of other creators, so make sure to use those codes as well. But yeah, I will yield my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Jason, go ahead.
All right. I will say, other than you can find me over at YouTube at Rocker Robotics, is if we're counting boomer points, I hate apps, Discord, and AI. So I score more than all of you guys combined. So with that, thanks for having me on the show, Ryan.
All right, thank you, Jason. All right, and links in the description below for everybody. And yeah, just going to close out this podcast by saying that I'll be looking more into it Wednesday. I haven't really had too much time to look into much anything. And if any of the audience might think during this whole podcast, do I look kind of phased out? Do I sound kind of phased out? Yeah, I am, because there's a good reason. Earlier today, I was out with my family, and I was involved with and witnessed a pretty bad accident. So I think it's affected me more than I actually thought, probably. So I really do appreciate these guys coming in and really taking a lot of the load off me for this. So this is what the ToV podcast is all about, for the community to stand in. It's not about me, it's not about Tales of Valhalla or anything. It's about the Heroscape community coming in, giving their thoughts about whatever the topic is. And so I thank you so much, guys, for standing in for me. Justin, yeah, everybody's fine. My family's fine. I mean, it could have been really bad, but no, we're all good here. It's more just really shooken up. So appreciate it, and thank everybody in the chat for sure. We'll see you guys Wednesday. There's a lot of things that I'm doing behind the scenes when it comes to not just Tales of Valhalla, but Tales of the Void, when it comes to Source and eventually the game. So hope to be showing that very, very soon. Just have to see. There's a lot more stuff to come. Just getting started. So with that, thank you all for watching. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it. And well, for me, I'll see you guys this Wednesday. Later now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Night-night.